Alrighty, we have just finished building our counter. We have this main timeline that is just an unwieldy, 4,500 frames long. And the only reason why it has to be 4,500 frames long is because these graphic symbols need to be able to play their timelines, and all they need to be able to do is loop. And, I'm on the wrong frame. No, I'm not. I never added all those frames. Anyway, we saw that it has to be this really, really long timeline because in order for a graphic symbol to play, its parent timeline has to be playing a frame as well. It's a one-to-one relationship between the symbol timeline and the parent timeline. One frame on the parent timeline plays, one symbol, or one frame on the symbol timeline plays. Now, enter the MovieClip. The MovieClip is a different type of behavior for a symbol. It's really not a different, well, it is. It's a different type of behavior for the timeline. Now, MovieClips don't have that linkage. They are not linked to their parent timeline. You put a MovieClip on the main stage, and it's just going to play and play and play and loop and loop and loop forever. The only way you can control it to make it go to a single frame or stop and start is through ActionScript. That's why we look at graphic symbols first. So, whereas we can see this playing because of that one-to-one relationship, we're not going to be able to see these things once they're movie clips. However, what's cool about a movie clip is that we can delete all the frames in here. Now what I've just done is selected a span of frames. Remove frames is Shift F5. And if you select a span, it's going to remove that many. So you can't really see it happening here, but that's a quick way to remove a bunch of frames. Let's go ahead and make these medium again. Now we're back to one frame. Okay, these are all instances of a graphic symbol. These graphic symbols have their own timelines. Okay, just to review. I chose graphic symbol when I created this thing for the library. This one is called number counter ones. You can see that it's a graphic symbol by this little triangle-y kind of icon. This is simply the default behavior of the symbol. It's what it's going to act like when I first put it on the stage. I can actually change the behavior of this symbol by selecting an instance. I'm going to come up to the Properties panel and say that, hey you instance of the ones digit, I want you to behave as a movie clip instead of as a graphic symbol. You can see that as soon as I chose movie clip, a few things happened. One is a little icon for it changed. It changed to movie clip and it's instance of this. But also, hey, you know what? I've got some new things I can do. 3D position and view. Cool. We're not going to do that today. Display, that was in the other one. Accessibility, we're not going to talk about that today. But I've also got filters. We're going to use those today. However, first off, I want to show you the behavior. Okay? This movie main timeline is one frame long. I'm going to test the movie. You're going to see that even though this thing is one frame long, with the behavior set as movie clip, it's going to continue to play and play and play. If I set this back to graphic symbol, no play. Okay, I kind of think of a movie clip as kind of like a freewheel on a bicycle. But I don't quite, it's kind of like the difference. It actually is the difference between I've always kind of wanted one, but I've always figured I'd break my legs at my age. A fixed wheel bicycle. Those are the kind of bicycles where the wheel, they have no brakes. They've got one gear, and you turn your crank, you turn your pedals, and they're just hooked directly to the rear wheel. If you want to stop, you stop by pushing back with your legs and slowing it down with your legs. And so there's like this one-to-one relationship between the motion of your legs and the back pedal. Whereas with a regular 10-speed or something, you've got a freewheel that allows the back wheel to continue turning even though your crank is not turning. That's kind of the way I look at these two. A graphic symbol is like a fixie, like a fixed thing. Track bike riders use them, and show off New York bike delivery guys use them. I don't know if they do anymore because they kept getting run over by buses or something because they couldn't stop or not. But anyway, so we're going to change this back to a movie clip and see that when we've got the movie clip behavior, it's just going to freewheel. It's going to play it's going to allow it to play its timeline. These other ones are not playing their timelines because they are both set as graphics. As long as there are not, gazillions of frames on here for them to play their timelines, they're not going to play. So let's go ahead and set this as a movie clip and set this as a movie clip. And I can always change it back and forth. Remember, your library type is simply the default behavior when you drag it out. You can always change it later on an instance by instance basis. Because there we had one movie clip instance and two graphic symbol instances. Now it's going to count away and work like this forever. And actually, when it gets to 999, the clips, since they're all running in sync with each other, will all flip over to 000 again, because I haven't done a thousands digit yet. And to be honest, we're doing what I would call an analog clock. That's why I kind of put these little notches in, like one of those old digital clocks that flip the numbers around. Because truly, the better way to do this would be to change the numbers through ActionScript. But we don't know that, so we're doing it what I call the analog way. So now we've got this counter. And you know what? If we wanted to use this counter somewhere, we could actually make a composite symbol out of this. Okay? We've seen how to make composite symbols using insert new symbol. What I'm going to do here is select these three instances, all set as movie clips, and I'm going to make them into a composite symbol. Modify, convert to symbol. I'm going to call this digital clock. Change its default behavior to movie clip. Select OK. And now it's going to work the same. But I could have multiples of this one on stage if I wanted to. So on and so forth. Now we are going to learn a little bit of ActionScript, which we can use in order to set these out of sync, to start these out of sync. But we're not going to do that today because we've been going for a long time. I do want to do one last thing, though. I want to go into this digital clock symbol. We'll do this from the library. Nah, actually, we won't. We're going to go in like so. And select an instance of this symbol. Since this is movie clip, I've got some cool options. And one of them is filters. We're going to come back to these over and over and over again. But for now, I want to put a filter on this one. I'm going to put a couple filters on. We're going to start off by putting a drop shadow filter because everybody likes drop shadows. Don't overdo drop shadows. If you do a drop shadow, they can go cheeseball really fast. Typically, my idea of drop shadows is they often should be there because they do add depth and they actually help things to pop out. But I shouldn't be aware of them. So typically, whenever you put a drop shadow on, you'll see I'm not seeing everything here because for some reason my display is a little bit messed up. But you want to, first thing you do, crank this strength down to something much lower than 100%. And if you look at this, you can see, okay, there, that's a little more subtle. I say subtle jokingly. I like those kind of words, like P as in Pflugerville. Okay, I'm going to make the distance of this a little bit bigger. This is how far away it is. And then you can change your blur settings. I do have these locked together, which is probably a good idea. I'm going to put up my blur. Now this is probably pretty much more of a drop shadow than I would normally do, but it's okay. Now, let's look at another one that we can do. I'm going to close up that. You can always come back and change these. And what's going to be really cool that you'll find out later is that we can actually motion tween these. So filters can be tweened, so you can make it look like a sun's going over or something like that. We're going to add another filter. We're going to put a bevel filter on here. Or bevel if you're feeling all Manhattan or something. Okay, and you see what this has done is that's put a bit of a darkening around here and a lightening around up here, and that makes it look beveled. Now, you do have the option to change shadow and highlight color. Like if I wanted to come in here and change my shadow to green for some reason, I could. I would be more likely to want to change my shadow to like that brown color, so it's brown instead of black. And I'd probably want to change my shadow from instead of FFFFFF. Actually, that might be good, but you know what? We're going to try the really light color of the tan. Yeah, I can hardly see that. Let's leave it at FFFFF, which I've just lost because I don't have that here. But always get it back like so. Okay, so this is bevel filter. You can change some other things too. I would urge you to play around with this. You can do knockout. What that does, it shows you only the filter, but not the stuff behind it. You can change the angle around on this. It's kind of like the sun coming from different places. You use a bevel filter a lot to make things like button symbols that look like they're depressed. Not sad depressed, but pushed in depressed. And so on and so forth. Okay, so we've put a bevel filter on this as well. Now, I'm a lazy guy. So I would think to myself, surely, don't call me Shirley, surely there's a way that I can duplicate this bevel filter on these other MovieClip instances. Also, I should remind you, bevel filters, any of these filters only work for MovieClips. They don't work for graphic symbols. It's another reason why we put them in MovieClips. So look at this. I can come up to my trusty panel menu here. Always check your panel menu. Not for properties. Here it is. Copy all filters. I could even save this as a preset. I'm going to copy all filters. Come over here, select this, and paste my filters. And hey, how about that? Nice and easy for the lazy. Come here. Well, and it's not just for the lazy. It also ensures that I've got the same filter applied to all of my numerals. Okay. So there, I have my numbers. You can see I did have another instance of this symbol up here. And it also, in the same instance, the same symbol. I want to do something really quick here. And this movie is 1 frame long. What we're going to do, though, is we're going to output this as video, because we're going to see how cool Flash Video is now. And I want to come to my File menu and choose Export. And Export Video. Those of you that are not on CC are not going to be able to do this. Or actually, if you do export to video, you're going to see all kinds of cruddy artifacts and just ugly looking stuff. It's not going to look nice. So I like to say, come in here, I'll do it for you, or send it to me, I'll do it for you, or something like that. I'm going to export video and go ahead and choose it to render out at the same size. I could choose this to ignore the stage color, and this would be cool if I were using it in After Effects or something like this, if I wanted to bring this into another program. However, remember my background color is a symbol rather than the stage color, so what I'd have to actually do is delete that layer. And we are going to convert this in Adobe Media Encoder, which is part of Creative Cloud. And if this were a long movie that was all rendering out like before when it was like 5,000 frames long, I could choose stop exporting when last frame is reached. But what would that do now? This is only 1 frame long, so it would only render out 1 frame. So instead, what I'm going to do is set after time elapsed. And you can see this is hours, minutes, seconds, milliseconds. So if I just simply type in something like 5:00, that's going to export a 5-minute video. And you will see it's going to do some stuff automatically here. It's going to actually, I believe what it does is it records it as a flash. It makes a SWIFT first and then records it as a video. And it's also going to open up Adobe Media Encoder. I should have thought of a joke to tell during this, but saying that I should have thought of a joke to tell is kind of like telling a joke, so I've done it. Okay. We are. Let me tell you about my cats. We're up to 100%. It's going to pop open Media Encoder, and or maybe it's not. Maybe it's popping it up behind. Yep. But you know what? When it does this, it actually what this does is this gives me the opportunity to save it out into other formats. But it's already been saved. I have it set so it does it to my desktop. So we could actually ignore this, but I do want you to see it if it opens up pretty quickly. Yeah. What this does is this allows you to, it puts your movie into the queue for Media Encoder, which would then allow me to save it out into all kinds of other formats. But bear in mind, FLV or F4V, those are Flash video files, which aren't used as much anymore. However, even before that happened, it had been saved out as a move.mov file. I can just simply click on this, and hey, how about that? This is not Flash content. This is not a SWIFT. This is actually a video. And since we didn't monkey around in Media Encoder with this, one of the real reasons why we would monkey around in Media Encoder is that this file is very big. Extremely big. It's way bigger than it needs to be. Look at this. It's 3.6 gigabytes. It does not need to be that big. An entire movie on a DVD is about 4 or 5 gigabytes. So just outputting it raw like that is not what we want to do, but I wanted to show you that this can be done. And where we would go in to compress it and get it into be much, much smaller is in Media Encoder. And we're going to be talking about video quite a bit as we go on. However, for now, I just wanted to see that it works, and it's beautiful. Okay, that's going to end it for today. Just in review, we've covered graphic symbols mostly. We've talked about Cooler, and we've just gotten a sneak peek at MovieClips. We're going to talk about MovieClips a lot more in the next lecture because we're going to learn that MovieClips can do some really cool stuff, especially 3D stuff. It's not exactly 3D. It's more like what we call postcards in space. It's 2.5D. Anyway, so come back next time for more fun stuff.